Font licensing and unintentional piracy. For a project I'm working on, I need to hire a short-term graphic designer. So I was looking through the portfolios of some of the people who applied for the position. And I came across one that had a great look and feel, and they had some fairly impressive clients. But I noticed that on every one of their sites, they had varied from the stock web fonts that are used on almost every website, and had instead opted for embedded fonts that require that the browser download fonts onto the system so that they can be presented. This created some scary things for me because it means that not everybody who has a modern browser is going to see the web page that way. And that's a pretty big issue for me. But the bigger issue was that one of the websites had a font that I recognized, Felt Tip Roman. Felt Tip Roman is most famous for being the handwriting that Hagrid used in the Harry Potter series anytime it appeared in the books. Now, if you're J.K. Rowling and you are going to include this font in your book, every person who edits the book and is going to be able to edit text in that font or view the raw images, the raw text in that font, is going to need a copy of the font. And it's $30 per head, roughly. And so that's not a big deal if you are the book publisher. You don't pay any additional licensing for the copies of that text in the book. There's no ongoing royalty payments. However, when you embed this in a web page, you're making the font available to your users. And so you're on the hook for the $30 per copy times every one of the viewers of the website. In this particular case, the website that I was looking at was getting about 3,000 viewers a month. So they would technically be on the hook for $90,000 a month to Mark Simonson. I'm sure that they weren't paying that money, and I'm sure that the client wasn't even aware that this was an issue or something that they were doing. So I'm not likely to work with a graphic designer who doesn't understand the ramifications of what is fair use, what is copyright, and how those things apply or create liability for the customer. If this particular graphic designer had made that mistake on the particular website that I'm working with, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of visitors a month and the potential liability of millions of dollars per month. That's a pretty big screw up for someone who I'm going to pay $60 an hour to do some graphic design work. So you can't just steal fonts. They are copyrighted. There are some open source fonts that are part of the Google Open Font project, and I'll put a link to that in the discussion.